The moment you stop being honest with God is the moment your faith starts fading. What's going on, my curious and intellectual people? Welcome back to Intrigue and Insights, where deep conversations meet everyday life, looking beyond the obvious to uncovering meaning, challenge assumption, and find wisdom in places most people overlook. Sorry for the wait, y'all. Yeah, I know it's been a minute, but I made a decision, very bad decision, that we are all suffering from. But I'm back with another episode. So, our last two episodes before I disappeared, for that little short time, we was discussing about how faith feels empty with no hope, no purpose, and no fulfillment. We also talked about how God can feel distant, as if he abandoned us. Now, mostly, it feels like it's empty because learning and transforming from our circumstances, we're mainly looking for an escape route. And that distance that we feel, that our unanswered prayers, is actually unheard prayers because of our busy lifestyle and the distractions of our life. But what I come to realize that in both of these occasions, the key to it is unbothered, intentional effort to seek God's face. When our world seems to be upside down and life is on the top of us, all we can think about is deliverance. But the truth is, when we become stronger and wiser, it gives us the strength to position ourselves for a better future. And we get this from a strong and intimate relationship with God. But honestly, when those bills are piling up and the kids need food and the family needs support, and when we just want that peace and quiet, God, it's not easy to be heard clearly. And really, if God can just drop us a text, an email, or even show us a sign in one of those reels that we watching, it would be perfect. But truthfully, the answer is in the genuine sacrifice to spend time with God and be real about what's going on. So today, we're going to discuss a faith that can't handle honesty won't last. Exhausted people don't need a faith that demands perfection and blind optimism. We need a faith that meets us right where we are, raw, tired, and sometimes broken. Honest faith acknowledges the struggle instead of glossing over it. It's okay to have doubts. It's okay to feel worn out. You don't have to pretend like everything is okay. Real, enduring faith requires the integrity to bring one's self-indulging doubts, fears, and struggles to God, rather than trying to maintain the facade of perfectionism. This kind of faith is liberating because it's real. It doesn't promise that life will suddenly be easy and that the pain would disappear. Instead, it offers a space to be truthful about our exhaustion and still find strength. Honest faith is like a steady hand in the dark, guiding us without judgment. Anything otherwise is a spiritual life built on pretense, denial, or the suppression of doubt. If faith cannot survive the truth, it's because it was never grounded in reality. During crisis, a faith based on denial or sweet lies evaporates because there was no foundation that was solid enough to stand on. Avoiding truth prevents us from maturing and facing inner brokenness. But durable faith is an honest faith, one that is transparent, authentic, and willing to face uncomfortable realities, knowing that truthful lips will endure forever. Pretending drains trust because it replaces an authentic connection with a curated performance, making relationships fragile and creating doubt, suspicion, and even betrayal. When a person acts insincerely, such as pretending that they care, support, and love, it creates a facade that eventually cracks, revealing that the relationship was built on lies rather than a genuine interaction. In faith, it is called hypocrisy, fake faith that stems from a self managed, fragile performance that ultimately deepens doubt and disillusionment. But here's the hope in all of this, or the positive side, or the greater aspect of it. God is forgiving, merciful, patient, and desiring to meet us with truth, not polished. He values raw honesty, authenticity, and a sincere heart over a rehearsed prayer, perfect performance, and a religious pretense. God is more interested in the real version of us, our often messy, inner life pain, questions, anger, or doubt, than the polished version that we try to bring to Him to impress Him. He is a personal, relational, and compassionate God who desires a connection with the true essence of us, offering us grace and peace rather than demanding perfection. If we look in the biblical text, we will see that Jesus continuously rebuked the religious folks of his day. We're going to turn to Matthew 23, read verses 13, 14, 15, and 25 real quick. Pull out my little trusty Bible thing here. So Matthew is the book for those New Testament, technically the first book in the New Testament. Chapter 23. This is Jesus speaking. Most Bibles, well, some Bibles have the letters in red. Anytime you see the letters in red, it's Jesus' exact words. So, okay, verse 13. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You remember we talked about hypocrites earlier? Fake faith. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! Exclamation marks. You shut the kingdom of heaven in man's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let in those who wish to enter. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You traverse land and sea to win a single convert, and when he becomes one, you make him twice as much a son of hell as you are. Verse 25. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, so that the outside may become clean as well. Now, in these verses, we see that he's calling them hypocrites. And the reason being is because in each text, like he said, you shut off the kingdom of heaven in man's faces, meaning entrance to be able to get into the kingdom of heaven by their teachings. And he further goes on to say, you yourself do not enter, nor will you let others enter, because he's basically saying that the teachings that y'all have, you won't enter in it. And because of your teachings and your pharisaical and hypocrisy, you neglect others from entering into it because you're not giving them the truth of what it's saying. And also, he called them hypocrites because of verse 25, where he says they clean the outside of the cup, but don't clean the inside of the cup. He used that as an analogy. But if you notice, he said, but the inside is full of greed and self-indulging, because he's saying, like we were stating here earlier from our podcast, that self-indulgence, bringing to God something to impress him rather than a honest faith. You're being fake. You're not being real with your spiritual life, that you're not literally dealing with the internal things. You're just doing the outternal, where you're just trying to be oppressive to other people, that you yourself are not a clean cup. That's basically what he was saying when he was doing that. And if you continue reading throughout the whole passages, rather than those I just gave you as an example of Matthew 23, he calls them blind fools, calls them hypocrites, he calls them whitewashers, and all those sorts is because they are faking their religion and they're not doing the real work behind them. They're not being honest with their relationship with God. And as we've seen from the verse 13, that they're not even entering the kingdom of heaven, which means where God is reigning over their life, meaning they're giving their lives completely over to him to be the king, the Lord, the controller, to, direct them and guide them. Now, I have to add, if you read the Bible, you would notice that these are the only folks that he typically place a lot of rebukes on, the Pharisees and the scribes. This is not that type of setting, or the topic. I'm not even going to give you majority of the history or the background that's behind it, but so to say that these are the chosen ones. These are literally the people chosen to be the ones to carry God's message to the people, and they failed dramatically. And when Jesus came, he's letting them know that you've been having the teaching and the word of God this whole entire time, yet you haven't received it, and you're keeping others from receiving it. So it's like we said, he had to come do it himself. Just a fun fact. So I'm saying all that to say that God desires a real, truthful, and authentic relationship with us, not a hypocritical one that we're withholding the things internally and just allowing him to change what's on the outside. Because what really matters is the things that is being changed on the inside. This brings stability. This brings enduring and everlasting change in our lives. This is different from behavior modification. It is transformation. Because a rare, honest form of prayer where you bring pain, grief, and confusion directly to God, rather than turning away, is a bridge between suffering and trust. It's a lament language of faith that transforms I'm not okayness into a shared experience with God. This faith doesn't ignore the hard questions or the moments of despair. It embraces them. It's faith that says, I see you, I hear your pain, and I'm here with you. It's a faith that grows, not in spite of exhaustion, but through it. So, if you're feeling drained right now, remember, it's not about having all the right answers. It's about being real with yourself and your beliefs. It's about finding grace in your weariness and courage in your vulnerability. because honesty keeps faith alive. Remember, clarity doesn't come from easy answers, but from the courage that asks the hard ones. So stay curious, stay open, and keep looking deeper. Peace.